My name's Courtney Swain. I front a up-and-coming band in Boston called Bentley, but I also work as a solo artist, and I have had the really honor and privilege of collaborating with Childish Japes over the last year. After You're Born is a song that came together as a collaboration between Childish Japes and myself, and also the artist Jacob, who is JP's childhood friend from Minnesota. And JP sent me the bed, the musical, sort of the track, and then two of these pieces that Jacob drew, and also the story behind those pieces. And one of the pieces had a sort of a poem attached to it that just said, "Love's harder after you're born." And the story behind it was that Jacob was working for a stonemason who just knew his wife before he was born. It was just like the weirdest thing where he knew his face, and he knew her face like his whole life. But there's something about it where I don't think they were still together, and that was just such a dramatic story that I was given, and I was trying to write for it. And at the same time, one of my friends had recently gifted me the Humans of New York coffee table book, and there's a story in there, a photo of a woman and her talking about how she fell in love with her husband. It was just love at first sight at this party, and but then they had a marriage and they had kids, and they're just not as close. And when she lies in bed at night, she stares at his sort of back and doesn't know how to tell him that how lonely she feels. So I sort of put together the melody and the lyrics, just interweaving those 2-3 stories that kind of landed in my lap at the time I was given the music. I think Childish Japes is so cool. This is not an ad. I was not told to say this, but it was, for me, I knew Asher and Jed and JP from college, and I knew they were all in New York, and I was just like, gosh, I wish they would play together. It's kind of like, your two friends who you're just waiting for them to just like hook up, or I don't know if that's like a good example. But so when I heard they're making music together, I was just so excited. I was just like, and I'm kind of bad at being assertive sometimes, but I was like doing my very best. Like every time I talk to JP, I'd be like, I would really like to collaborate with you guys. If you guys are looking for a singer, I would really like to collaborate with you guys. And they're kind enough to indulge me. I think it's a really unique project in that, like, it's not about the end product so much as it's really about the process. And I think it's about sort of going back to kind of the primitive idea of enjoying playing music, because all three of them are really, really successful musicians in New York, but I've seen this in a lot of my friends, and I think myself, a lot of people in music and the arts, where you like doing this one thing, so you start doing it, and then you start making a living from it, and you're like, okay, well, this is it, right? Like, this is what I wanted to do, and I'm like still not sure if this is like right. And I think for them, it's just a way to go back to that enjoying the making of the music. And it's challenging for me. It's a different muscle that I don't usually use, and I think a lot of other people that collaborate with Childish Japes feel that way, and I think it's a wonderful project. Silver Needle of Pine is a song that I wrote while I was in Japan. I heard a story from one of my mom's friends about this man who took care of his wife who was in a coma for 13 years at home. And the twist is that he is blind, and he also happens to be this acupuncturist. So it's just like this wild story about him trying this sort of like mysterious acupuncture sort of, not trick, but move to try to bring her back to life. And then eventually sort of realizing that she's not coming back to life. And when I heard the story, I was just floored, because it was just one of the most peculiar things I've ever heard in my life. So I really wanted to write a song about it, and that ended up being Silver Needle of Pine. So you can find me at CourtneySwain.com. I'm also launching a Patreon really soon, so if you want to support me and sort of get an inside look, you can find me at patreon.com/Courtney Swain. Or if you want to check out my band, it's called Bent Knee, and you can find that at bentkneemusic.com.